This shoe is special in more ways than one. Let's find out. Hey everyone, I'm Sigi and I love all things puer. Since we've had a good amount of success with Shu Pu'er videos here on the channel and me kind of getting back into Shu Pu'er today, it's time for another one. As you already might have gleaned from the title, I am trying a bamboo Shu Pu'er today. Now, what does that mean? This Shu Pu'er that I'm trying today is not just made from high quality material, which I'm going to tell you about in a moment, but after fermenting and everything, it is stuffed into bamboo and roasted over a fire. So one of the things that will be interesting to see today is if this process of stuffing into bamboo and then roasting over fire adds an additional dimension to the tea, or if there's anything that this tea has that we maybe wouldn't expect from a normal Shu Pu'er. So, without any further ado, here's the tea. This is what it looks like in its, let's say, raw or still compressed form. Let's put it in our gaiwan and get started. I'm just going to do a quick rinse here. As always, we're doing 5 grams in this 100 milliliter gaiwan. Let's just quickly pour this out and get right into the first steep. I might let this steep for a bit because the tea does need to open up a little. It was crammed quite tightly into the bamboo stick, or however you want to call it after all. So we're giving this a moment before we do anything with it. Now, before we get into drinking, I did mention this is a shoe, once again, that's made from high quality material, similar to some of the other ones that I've tried on the channel. If we remember the Bulang Great Harmony or the Naka, I think it was called Crane over Marshland. Both of those were made with quite high quality material, and this one continues that trend. The leaves for this tea were harvested in Nanbei Laojai, which is in the Mengsong tea area. Quite a well-known one, quite popular in recent years. And now we have a Shu Pu'er from there. And not just any Shu Pu'er, but this special kind of bamboo shoe. Let's decant the first steep. Okay. What can we say about the color? Let me show this to you here. I know it's a bit hard to see, but the first impression I get is the liquor is nice and clear. There's not a lot of sediment either, so the material stayed nice and whole. And the color looks like about what you'd expect from Shu Pu'er. Maybe it's even a touch on the lighter side of things, so not too much fermentation. Let's see what the leaves and the gaiwan lid smell like. It smells quite pleasant. A bit, I mean, this might sound a little funny, but it does have a woody smell. Not sure if I'd necessarily be able to say, like, yes, this is bamboo, but it definitely has more of a woody note than the other shoes that I've tried. Other than that, you do get that sort of complex, dark Shu Pu'er type smell with a bit of earth, a little bit of that kind of fermentation aroma, and even some sweeter notes, maybe something a bit more like caramel and that direction. I'm also going to do a second steep right away that we're going to let cool down in my pitcher. This one is already giving off a lot of color just while I am pouring in the water into my gaiwan. So it looks like it's already opening up properly, which means that even though it was stuffed into bamboo, the tea is coming apart nicely, and we don't have this like completely solid brick of tea that's like almost impossible to take apart. Okay. As such, I think I'm going to do a fairly short second steep, because the tea does seem to be fairly well opened already. Yeah. Just giving it another quick smell to see if there's anything else I can pick up on. Oh, that wood aroma, I think, is more clearly bamboo now after the second steep, and I do think it's quite prominent in here. However, what I can't smell, which I find a bit surprising, is no sort of smoke that you'd expect from a fire, no sort of roasty or burnt kind of smell. I'm not really getting any of that at all in here. But okay, enough talking. Let's actually drink the first steep. It should have cooled down enough by now. Oh yeah. The bamboo is already very present in this one. I'm not 100% sure if the bamboo has sort of imparted its flavor and aroma on the tea, or if there are like little pieces of bamboo in there that give it that taste, but you notice it right away. I think even in a blind tasting, people would be able to figure out quite quickly that there's a pretty strong sort of bamboo note in this tea. Other than that, I'm getting a fairly sort of creamy mouthfeel. There's a good deal of sweetness in this tea, which is always nice to see. And most importantly, it feels really clean. That's always something we have to watch out for here when it comes to Shu Pu'er. But yeah, I'm not sensing any kind of off flavor or anything like that at all in this tea. I'm honestly I'm just surprised by how like intense this bamboo flavor is. But there's also a very pleasant sort of darker sweetness to back it up. So it's not just bamboo. There's definitely a lot more going on. let's see what the second steep has to say. Okay, first thing I notice, the second steep, despite the shorter steeping time, already looks a fair bit darker than the first one. So with that, I think we can expect stronger flavors from this one. I wonder if the bamboo flavor is going to get stronger than it was before, or if we are going to get more of the other flavors present in this tea. I've also got the third steep going right now. This one isn't going to take long once again. So it feels like these steeps are coming together fairly quickly, which makes me optimistic for the longevity of this tea. So this is one that might end up giving you significantly more steeps than average. Okay, let's smell once again. This is interesting. Compared to the second steep, the aroma feels a bit more connected overall, if that makes sense, or integrated. The bamboo note isn't as sort of separate or as much in the spotlight as it was on the second steep, but it feels more connected with the other things that are going on, and it feels like it's presenting more of a sort of harmonic and coherent whole. And I wonder if that's something we're going to see repeated between the second and the third steep here. Okay, what I'm noticing right away, much more intense bamboo flavor on the second steep. And it's not just present in the immediate taste of the tea while it's in your mouth, but compared to the first steep, it has also extended into the aftertaste now. So after you swallow, if you sort of take account of what's left after the tea, you still get that sense of sweetness, but it's a bit covered by a fairly intense bamboo note. When it comes to mouthfeel, though, this remains quite creamy. It's honestly really smooth, and it goes down very well. It's a very easy and pleasant to drink tea with regards to mouthfeel. And having that bamboo note added to what seems to me like already quite good base material and very clean fermentation makes for a very interesting impression overall. Like, you often think of Shu Pu'er as this kind of thing that you can kind of drink on the side, that you can comfortably oversteep and it won't get significantly worse and whatnot. A more casual tea experience, if you will. But I feel like a Shu Pu'er like this, especially one that was made with these more special methods, requires a bit more focus and attention to sort of pick up on the different nuances that are going on that were imparted on the tea by the various processing steps and how they were handled. Because ultimately, we're not just trying to make a, let's say, face value judgment of the tea here. We're also trying to look at how these different elements, the choice of material, in this case, older tree material from the Mengsong area, the level of fermentation, and the, let's say, care and attention that was put into the fermentation step, and the stuffing and roasting of these bits of bamboo that contain the tea afterwards, how all of these elements integrate and come together to create what is ultimately desired, a sort of harmonious but also complex and layered tea experience. And on that note, I think it's time to try the third steep. On the second steep, as sort of predicted by the aroma, the bamboo note was quite dominant. It was less so in the aroma of the third steep, so now let's find out if we are moving more towards that kind of harmonious experience that we would like out of a tea like this. Mm-hmm. Yes. On this third steep, the bamboo note is declining a bit, which, similar to how it was in the aroma, makes it integrate more with the other flavors. And I think this is the point where this tea is really starting to come together. I think we are on a very good trajectory towards that kind of complex harmony. All the while, the mouthfeel of this remains pleasant, remains creamy, very, very nice. At this point, if you're enjoying my videos, of course, as always, please leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We're hoping to come out with a lot more videos, a lot more tea knowledge, and also a lot more participation in the tea sphere. Not just as somebody, as like you all watching videos, but with the nannuoshan Discord and whatnot, we offer the opportunity to get more directly involved and contribute wherever you'd like. And if this kind of high-end shu pu'er is up your alley, and you're looking for something a bit different from the usual, this is going to be on the nannuoshan shop by the time this video goes up. I don't have exact pricing info yet, but these 500-gram pieces of bamboo stuffed with tea are going for about 200 euros for the entire thing, for half a kilo of tea. 50 grams of this tea will be sold for about 30 euros or $30, depending on whether you buy from the nannuoshan EU or US shop. And I think this tea is cool. The kind of balance it strikes between that bamboo aspect and the underlying quite pleasant, quite round, but also still interesting shu pu'er is really fascinating. all the while, I think this tea strikes a good balance between being a very pleasant drinking experience, which is what we would expect from a shu pu'er, while also giving you enough different things and enough complexity to really latch onto if you want to. So for those of you that prefer to have like more focused, more in-depth tea sessions, this is a shu pu'er that I think is worth checking out. It will give you enough and keep you interested enough, and I think it's also going to develop enough over the course of a tea session to be able to retain your attention for a long time. So ultimately, I think this one does well, both as a comfortable drinking experience, but also as, let's say, something you could really like have a conversation about if you're drinking it together with other people. This was my review of the 2015 Bamboo Shu Pu'er, coming up soon on the nannuoshan tea shop. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this tea, what you think about higher end or kind of special shu pu'er in general. And I hope I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.